Hello everyone, good morning and I hope you are well. I am very happy to be here at Buffalo State University, New York for the Dictionary Society of North America Conference, one of the world's premier meetings in the field of lexicography. So before getting into the main discussion, let me thank Professor Walter Hakala and Lisa Birkland, the conference organizers who I know have done a lot of work over the past 2 years. In addition, I want to thank President Corey Stamper for helping me deliver my speech virtually. I express my deepest gratitude to Professor Orin Hargreaves. I've always benefited from his knowledge and support. I thank him immensely. And finally, I would like to thank all the people who have worked so hard to make this conference possible. Okay. As you can see, the title of my lecture is The Principles of Compiling an Active Bilingual Dictionary in Persian, a corpus-based approach. My whole effort is to present a new, practical form of bilingual lexicography based on the Persian data. To this end, let me talk briefly about the history of lexicography in Iran and the stage the Persian lexicography has reached today. Then I will review some key concepts in this field to achieve a better understanding of the obtained results. After that, I'd like to demonstrate the translation process from the mother tongue, here I mean Persian, to a foreign language, here I mean English, and address the existing challenges. Finally, while rejecting the existing bilingual reference works in this field, I will present an entry from my proposed bilingual dictionary. Part 1. The history of lexicography in Iran. The history of lexicography in Iran dates back to more than 2,000 years ago, to the time of the compilation of bilingual and monolingual lexicons for the Middle Persian language. Dictionary making at that time was carried out for various reasons, including language teaching and helping to read and understand literary, scientific, and religious texts, which resulted in the compilation of various types of dictionaries, including general monolingual Persian dictionaries, bilingual or multilingual dictionaries, and the dictionaries of specialized terms. The oldest extant Persian to Persian dictionary is Lughat Fars, or Dictionary of the Persians or Persian Words, by the poet Asadi of Tus, who must have compiled it between 1066 and 1073 AD. This dictionary contains Persian, mostly literary words and their definitions and synonyms, supported by examples from earlier poetry. By the way, according to Asi, Lughat Fars has been the most influential source of later works during the next 5 centuries. By the 20th century, the number of bilingual dictionaries with Persian increased. There are several studies of such works providing detailed information about them and showing long lists of European and Asian languages as their source of target language. For example, as you see, English, more than 125 titles, French, 63 titles, German, 35 titles, Russian, 34 titles, etc. Contemporary works. From the early decades of the 20th century, Iranian scholars became acquainted with Western science and technology, including the new lexicographical methodology, and began to produce works with similar features. One of them is Farhang Nizam by Muhammad Ali Dai al-Islam, printed in Hyderabad. Another dictionary of this period is Farhang Nafisi by Ali Akbar Nafisi Nazim al-Atibba. An outstanding example of the second trend is Lughatname, or workbook, the greatest lexicographical project for the Persian language undertaken by Ali Akbar Dehkhoda. Another important Persian dictionary in this group is Farhang Moin by Muhammad Moin. Another name is Moin's Dictionary. The next is Farhang Sukhan, a comprehensive monolingual Persian dictionary first published in 2002 in 8 volumes. It contains about 75,000 headwords and some 45,000 sub-entries, which are supported by about 160 examples taken from 450 Persian sources. Following the increasing prevalence of English language in the world and the need for translation from this language into Persian and from Persian into English in political, scientific, cultural, etc. fields, the importance of learning and translating between two languages has become more apparent. More than 240 years have passed since the first bilingual dictionary of English-Persian, in fact in 1777, was published by Oxford University, and since then a large number of different English-Persian dictionaries have been published. The English-Persian Dictionary of the Millennium by Hakshinas et al., the Aryanpur Progressive Persian-English Dictionary by Aryanpur and Asi, the Living English-Persian Dictionary by Botany are examples of successful bilingual dictionaries in the last 100 years. Recent developments. All of the works mentioned above can be classified as traditional, in contrast with the most recent approaches to lexicography in Iran as modern. A new movement to improve the form and content of dictionaries can be traced from 3 decades ago, when 3 major factors were gradually introduced into this field. These were in line with and followed the advancements that happened in Western lexicography some decades earlier. A. The implementation of new achievements in theoretical and applied linguistics related to lexicography. B. The use of computer techniques and information technology. And C. Corpus-based approach to lexicography. Some related concepts, although I know that you know better than me. From the perspective of the type of activity, dictionaries can be divided into 2 categories, passive and active, according to Atkins and Randall. Passive lexicography refers to a process whose product is a dictionary that can be used in decoding text, such as understanding and translating from a foreign language to the mother tongue. On the other hand, active lexicography refers to a process whose product is a dictionary that can be used in encoding text, such as writing and translating from the mother tongue to a foreign language. According to Thorpe, depending on the purpose of classifying dictionaries, we can do this in different ways. 3 fundamental criteria can be proposed: form, content, and purpose. Form refers to something in which the dictionary is available to us: book, digital format, alphabetical or systematic word list, monolingual, bilingual, multilingual dictionary, etc. When we talk about content, we often mean whether the dictionary is a language or encyclopedic one. Regarding purpose, dictionaries can have 4 main purposes. As you can see, dictionaries with communicative functions, that is, dictionaries designed to assist the users in solving problems related to written or oral communication. In fact, text reception, text production, translation, and text revision. 2. Dictionaries with cognitive functions, that is, dictionaries designed to transmit knowledge to their users. C. Dictionaries with operative functions, that is, dictionaries designed to assist their users in performing specific types of action. And 4. Dictionaries with interpretive functions, that is, dictionaries designed to assist their users in interpreting non-linguistic signs. So let's talk a little bit about production dictionaries. I just need to mention that, at least in this lecture, the terms active and production are the same. The first issue we will address is what a production dictionary is. According to Ofertes Oliveira, if I pronounce his name correctly, sorry, the main purpose of this type of dictionary is to help potential users to write, translate, and/or speak. In this regard, Thorpe emphasizes that this text production can itself be of 2 types. A. Production of text in a foreign language, thinking via mother tongue. And B. Production of text in a foreign language via the foreign language. Well, again, it is clear that there is a difference between these 2 types of production. In relation to the first, we need a bilingual dictionary from the native language to the foreign language. For example, here a Persian-English dictionary can be useful. In relation to the second, we need a monolingual or bilingual dictionary with entries and sub-entries organized according to the foreign language, not according to the native language. I think these learners' dictionaries, such as Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, Cambridge Advanced Learners Dictionary, Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English, and works like this would be good for this. Well, in this lecture, I will talk about the first. Suppose that I want to translate a Persian sentence into English. What type of dictionary do I need? This is the main question of this research. To examine and analyze the challenges of Persian into English translation, we needed standard Persian texts in various fields. For this purpose, we created an aligned parallel corpus so that we could compare Persian texts with their English translations. We tried to pay attention to the features of representativeness and balance in collecting data for the corpus, which I will not go into detail here. In total, the corpus consisted of 2,000 sentences, 1,000 Persian sentences, and 1,000 their English sentences. The basis for the translation of words was the Aryanpur Progressive Persian English Dictionary, and then they were compared with the translation in the corpus to identify translation errors at the phrase level. The discrepancy between the translation of a word separately and its translation in a sentence was considered a challenge. In other words, if the English translation of a word is in isolation based on the Aryanpur Progressive Persian English Dictionary differs from the translation of that word in an English sentence or in its context, we will face a challenge. Thus, it was determined which cases were most challenging in Persian into English translation. In the next slides, let's examine a sentence with its English translation. The Persian sentence is قسم میخورم رئیس جمهور آن قانون را به حالت تعلیق درآورد. Which its English translation is, I make a vow the president put that law in abeyance. By the way, I am using the Leipzig glossing rules to help understand the sentences better. Of course, you are familiar with it. Let me break this sentence into two shorter sentences and talk about it. قسم میخورم. قسم means vow, and in میخورم, the verbal prefix mi is an incomplete aspect marker. Khor is a root form meaning to eat, and the suffix am indicates the first person singular. قسم میخورم means I make a vow. In fact, I think it's very interesting, at least for me. To eat vow in Persian is equal to make or to take a vow in English. So, in this short sentence, we have the challenge of light verb. In fact, the challenge of choosing the right light word. Here, you can see the entry for the verb khordan in the Aryanpur Progressive Persian English Dictionary. It is not possible for a lexicographer to list the English verb to make or to take for the verb khordan in a Persian English dictionary. Well, the rest of the sentence is رئیس جمهور آن قانون را به حالت تعلیق درآورد. Okay. رئیس جمهور means president, on that قانون را, law, accusative marker. In fact, ra is an accusative marker. به means to, حالت means state, a genitive marker. In Farsi can be named as of a marker. But in this lecture, I prefer to say a genitive marker. Okay, تعلیق, abeyance. درآورد, remove. Past. And the next, third person singular. Okay, which in total means the president put that law in abeyance. To remove something to the state of abeyance in Persian is equal to put something in abeyance in English. Again, in this sentence, we have the challenge of light verb and the challenge of grammatical collocation for be, which in English we saw in, not to. Okay. Here, we can see the frequency of challenge types in Persian English translation. Grammatical collocations, light verbs, lexical collocations, cultural terms, genitive marker, phrases such as on the table. For example, an agreement is on the table, which means an agreement is available. In this sentence, on the table is a phrase, okay, in a lexicographer point of view. Okay, and idiomatic expressions pose the greatest challenges in translation, respectively. Here, I am going to show how to write an entry and its sub-entry information in the active bilingual dictionary in a practical way. For this purpose, first, I chose the noun ta'liq, which means abeyance in English, in my Persian corpus, which I'm still developing to observe its behavior in the sentence. Let me mention the first 100 sentences in Persian. The following 100 Persian sentences are taken directly from the corpus. The word ta'liq has been written in red and its collocation is underlined. Of course, I know that you probably don't know Persian, but I wanted to show these 100 sentences to do a brief statistical analysis. Okay. The frequency of expressions made with the word ta'liq is as follows. ta'liq shodan, which means to fall into abeyance, 36 cases. ta'liq kardan, which means to put in abeyance, 20 cases. به حالت تعلیق درآوردن, to put in abeyance, 19 cases. به حالت تعلیق درآمدن, to fall into abeyance, 12 cases. تعلیق فوری, instant abeyance, 6 cases. In fact, an adjective plus noun collocation or a lexical one. تعلیق بودن, to be in abeyance, 1 case. تعلیق یافتن, to fall into abeyance, 1 case. تعلیق موقتی, temporary abeyance, 1 case. تعلیق گسترده, extended abeyance, 1 case. And finally, I should mention that no collocation was observed in 3 sentences. Okay, in the next step, we look for the equivalence of the current collocations in the authoritative corpus of contemporary American English, or COCA, which is as follows. At this stage, the corpus helps us in the translation of verbal collocations. And finally, the entry abeyance in our active or production bilingual dictionary is as follows. Abeyance noun, verb plus noun, to fall into abeyance, to put or hold something in abeyance. preposition plus noun in abeyance. My colleagues, regarding this schema, I would like to make a few points as a conclusion. In an active bilingual dictionary, the basis for selecting the main entry is valid foreign language dictionaries, here English, because the user of this type of dictionary who intends to produce a text in a foreign language, here Persian into English translation, first considers an English word like abeyance in his or her mind and chooses it freely. However, the basis for choosing the sub-entry information is obtained from the corpus of a native language, here Persian, I mean. When the word abeyance is chosen freely and simply because of its meaning, in the next stage, it shows its limitation in the choice of collocational words. For example, the user wants to know what the equivalent of تعلیق کردن, abeyance making or abeyance doing, is in a foreign language. What is the equivalent of this light verb according to the entry word? Make, do, have, take, or another word. 2. Definition writing is not done for the main entry because the user of this type of dictionary doesn't refer to the dictionary to know the meaning of words. It's not a reception dictionary. But his goal is to use the entry correctly in the context of the target language. 3. If the main entry has a sense division, then the main entry is defined in the simplest possible way based on today's Persian dictionaries. 4. The frequency of phrases in the Persian corpus is of great importance. Which phrases are shown in the sub-entry and which ones are not shown depends on the size of dictionary and the decisions of the lexicographical team. 5. In this entry, only the light verbs and grammatical collocation, here I mean in abeyance, show their importance. There are other challenges facing the translator, from the native language to the foreign language, which can be discussed in its own place. 6. What was proposed here was a brief and symbolic representation of an entry in the active bilingual dictionary based on a very limited corpus. In the present study, an attempt is made to present the principles of writing such a dictionary by examining the challenges of active translation. And finally, 7. As you know, it is believed that 2 types of dictionary are close to the production dictionaries: the synonym dictionaries and the collocation dictionaries. I would also like to add another type of dictionary here: dictionary of native language to foreign language, like the Aryanpur Persian English Dictionary, from which we saw an entry. I think none of these 3 types of dictionaries can help in producing text based on the native language. We saw in this research that the challenges always occur at the phrase level, not at the word or lexeme level, and not at the word level. Okay, so a synonym dictionary that only suggests synonyms for the entry will not be enough. We also saw that in Persian light verbs have a high frequency and it is not possible to guess its equivalent from the word itself. The same thing we saw about the khordan, the verb khordan, which means to eat. So collocation dictionaries written in a foreign language will not be able to solve all of our problems either. The same reason given for the synonym dictionaries is also true for the 3rd type of dictionary. Well, that's enough. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and I apologize if it was long. I would appreciate it if you send me your questions via the emails below. Thank you in advance. Have a nice day.